War. After all, it had given an immense amount of fodder to comics throughout the land and made you look even more foolish than you generally seem. Then, a couple of weeks ago, I read that you had taken up verbal arms again in the Christmas War. Only this time, your focus was on what color lights would be used in decorating government buildings. I had no idea, but you informed the public that white lights were secular, with an emphasis on sec, and the true symbol of Christmas is colored lights. Well, okay. I'll assume that the reason I missed the part of the Christmas story in which the three wise men bring the gifts of red and green electric lights to the baby Jesus is because I'm Jewish. I'm certain that my Christian friends and family members learned about the sacred colored lights. But I'm offended that you also denigrated decorations consisting of snowflakes and penguins. I love snow, and I especially love penguins. In fact, this year I'm hoping for a white Christmas. Bill, if you take a walk with me through freshly fallen snow under the evening street lamps in our nation's capital, you might notice how beautiful and perhaps, dare I say it, sacred the quiet of a snowy celebration of this beautiful solstice season can be. Happy human light to all. So that was my November 30th blog. Thank you. So I mentioned my two appearances on O'Reilly about the war on Christmas, which the first time he called, or his producer called and said, would you come on tonight to talk about the Christmas controversy? I said, what Christmas controversy? So now I know more about it. But I want to show you a clip, which is clip number 1, of part of my second Christmas appearance, because I referred to the first Christmas appearance in it. And this one is cued right, so it only goes as long as it's supposed to.
It used to be a really lovely greeting filled with love of the season and all of that. But since you've started a culture war, a lot of people have been using it as a very nasty, divisive thing. I mean, I got an email after last year's appearance from someone who just gave me 2 pages of Merry Christmas, like or else.
But maybe it was done in a loving way. But look, what I'm trying to say, you said I started the culture war, so I started all of this.
Bill, let me say it was more loving than the person who told me I should leave the country and the one whose email said I should die because I don't celebrate Christmas.
I get those too, and I get those. There are nuts on all sides. But you said something very interesting. You said, before I started the culture war, that people said Merry Christmas to you in a very loving way. Is that accurate? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And my friends and family are still loving.
Okay, I'm glad everybody's loving. Yeah. So if it was loving, everybody was saying things to you, Merry Christmas in a loving way, why then would Best Buy or any store tell their employees not to say Merry Christmas?
Well, in the past couple of years, some people are using it as a confrontational thing. I mean, if you have someone walk up to... I asked you a question.
If it was loving before I started it, why then did Best Buy and others say to their employees, don't say Merry Christmas? If it was loving to you and all other atheists, why do they do that?
As a business decision, I could see, given the current atmosphere of it, Merry Christmas or else, it's been created.
I love that.
That I could see as a business.
And we could have a little elf dressed in black leather with a taser gun.
Now, I'm not saying they had to do this, but I could see as a business choice to have them say Happy Holidays to make sure they don't have some employee looking at someone walking up to them wearing a yarmulke or a headscarf saying Merry Christmas just to get them.
Here's how effective that business choice would be. In the new poll released today, today, all right, 90% of American adults celebrate Christmas, all right, and 78% of all Americans believe that Christian holiday symbols, like the baby lying in the manger, should be displayed everywhere, including private property, public property, I should say. So, you're saying a business decision was made to alienate 90% of the public. I don't think that's real smart.
Maybe not from a business end of things. Or maybe they didn't care if they alienated some people, if they were going to be the ones...
As long as the atheists came in and the nuts who don't like Christmas spend money, they don't care about the other.
Store that was going to include in their greetings everybody at this season may...
That's okay. It doesn't have a lot more on there.
Maybe they wanted to be that store that respected everybody's traditions.
You know
I don't
what?
know what their
And I
decisions
would
were.
be right on board with that, because I'm not saying you shouldn't say Happy Holidays or Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant instead of Happy Holidays.
No. That's
because
you
the
see
survey.
that is the biggest misnomer in the world. All I
Okay,
object
but you're talking about the Rasmussen survey, where 69% of the people said that stores shouldn't say Happy Holidays. And,
no,
and
they
keep in mind,
prefer the great. They're saying they prefer.
The three wise men, bringing gifts of tinsel, garland, and multicolored, not plain white lights, and strings of popcorn to baby Jesus. Go for it, Bill. But my Christian friends and family, they don't really go with O'Reilly's focus on the buying holiday focus. So the fringe folks, like Bill O'Reilly aside, the Secular Coalition for America has seen an outpouring of support. And by the way, when he says, oh, we all get those nasty emails all the time, it's just the way it is, I really want an opportunity to sit down with him someday, and we never really get to talk, because I'm just looking at a little camera, and then I'm gone. But I want to tell him I don't. I hardly ever get nasty emails. The only time I get really disgusting, nasty emails is when I go on his show. And then it isn't about the fact that we're in these controversial jobs. Because I get emails from people who disagree with me, not a lot, but some. And I get emails even from people who are praying for me, or who hope I find Jesus. But the only time I get nasty emails, like after I go on his show, sometimes I get emails where people use language I wasn't even comfortable using when I was in the vagina monologues, and we're supposed to reclaim a certain word, and and they're throwing that word at me, and I'm like, so it's what he foments, and someday I'd like to tell him that. But the fringe folks, like him aside, we do get a lot of support. We have individual donations from over 1,000 people, so we were able to hire a second staff person, thus increasing our staff 100% since my hire. And since then, we've also put on a part-time communications director. So media coverage has been extensive, with articles from national press such as the Christian Science Monitor. I had a few copies of that around the tables, and the Washington Post covering us, as well as international coverage in London, the Netherlands, Ireland, and even BBC Radio, which is really fun, walking around and describing what we were passing. I listen to that on the radio, but actually doing it feels so weird. Well, yeah, this is what we're walking here. And I can't list all of the print, radio, and television and podcast media in today's talk, but I do encourage everyone to see the list, because it's really impressive, at www.secular.org. The other thing I encourage everyone to do on that website is to sign up for our e-alerts. How many of you are signed up for Secular Coalition's alerts? Great. And I'm guessing of those hands, most of you did the action on the creationist earmark, right? And that one worked. I mean, he pulled that bill, because not just our group, a lot of groups had people calling, going, this is a creationist earmark, and take it out. Well, much of what we do is quietly kill bad bills behind the scenes through committee members, and to quietly encourage additional co-sponsors for good bills. There are times when grassroots activists sending emails and making phone calls makes all the difference. So we send these alerts when grassroots communication is called for. Thus, some of our e-alert recipients complain about not hearing from us more often. But when a Congress member has already heard from a few hundred of their own constituents before I walk into a lobby visit to discuss the issue, it does make a tremendous difference. And here's some other things you can do. I'm up to that point where this is your stuff, what would be great for you to do. If you are ever planning to visit D.C., please consider calling us ahead of time and visiting your own representative with me. Contrary to what you might think, these are always positive experiences. If you're averse to lobbying with us, at least visit our little office space in the basement of the American Humanist Association. In addition to lobbying, not just in D.C., but in District 2, and responding to e-alert requests for congressional emails, other actions you can take which will help us be more effective include writing letters to the editor and op-eds for your local paper, being out as a humanist or whatever you identify as much as is comfortable, and maybe even occasionally, as Allison did, when it isn't all that comfortable at all. Another thing you can do is think about running for office yourself. I've done it. You can actually win little elections.